मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, more revelations on infighting among SODELPA members, workplace survey to help design strategies, and illegal excavation causes landslide.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
More information has come to light about concerns over infighting that has caused a split in the Social Democratic Liberal Party. The late former party leader and Prime Minister Laisinian Ngarase, who was instrumental in forming SODELPA, shared his concerns over the future of the party. Edwin Nunn reports Ngarase confided in his former employee from the banking days, Parmesh Sharma.
Parmesh Sharma has shared some private conversations he had with the late Laisinian Ngarase, where the former Prime Minister expressed disappointment with the infighting in SODELPA and was distancing himself from the party.
I'm sure he would have been very concerned about the split and the appearing divisions while he was observing.
Sharma goes on to claim that as early as 4 months ago, Ngarase shared a thought with him about the possibility of forming another party that shared his vision and solidified the thinking of the people. However, the current party leader doesn't believe that's true.
I would doubt that he would have gone to the depths that Pramesh has said he went into. I'll respect the good I saw in him when he was alive, rather than believe that he had a sword out for me while he was still alive.
Sharma in his Facebook post says Ngarase thought he may need to form a breakaway party as his final attempt for the service to the people of Fiji, because he was always conscious of the fact that he was leading SDL during the events of 2006, and he believed he owed it to everyone to restore what he thought was the best vision for Fiji.
Telling others it's better for us to form another party rather than consolidate and use his efforts to bring factions together. I'd like to give Mr. Ngarase the benefit of my understanding of his character and say, if he had thought that, he would have come to me.
The banker also claims that Ngarase felt that certain individuals let SODELPA down and discipline was the answer. He thought a review of the SODELPA constitution could be a way forward. Ngarase is also quoted as saying that he only wanted to lead the new party or a changed SODELPA, but not contest the general election because he believed a young, dynamic team would make a good government. Edwin Nand, FBC News.
Getting an idea on the actual effects of COVID-19 in workplaces will help employers make informed decisions if a similar crisis arises again. The data collected from a nationwide workplace survey that will begin from Wednesday will help design strategies and put in place protection mechanisms to help employers and other sectors. Koroi Tandulala reports.
The Employment Minister says the survey will provide a solid foundation for designing innovative solutions as we work our way out of this pandemic.
It will also provide a solid foundation to continue with innovative solutions as we work our way out of this pandemic. However, we are still caught in the global economic lockdown that is affecting our main economic area in the tourism industry.
The global understanding is that much needs to be done to ensure that the economic costs of the pandemic do not outpace the health impact of COVID-19.
Parveen Kumar says the data collected from the survey will be critical as it will also help in addressing economic downturn.
This data collection will enable us to plan for means to overcome some of the short-term effects of the economic downturn, including planning for government and international programs towards overcoming some of these impacts.
Kumar says the survey will be implemented to ensure a maximum number of participation from the 24,000 registered employers. However, the Fiji Trades Union Congress, who were invited to participate in the launch of the survey today, were not present attempts to get comment from FTUC. We sent emails to 3 different email addresses and contacted 5 different mobile numbers provided to us by the Suva and Western office. However, they all proved futile. 140 enumerators were trained last week to undertake the nationwide workplace survey that is to begin from Wednesday until the 19th of June. Coritan Dulala, FBC News.
Illegal excavation at Balambala Crescent in Newtown, Asino is causing soil erosion in the area, which is putting the lives of many residents at risk. The discovery was made by the local government ministry following a recent landslide whereby around 5 meters of land was reclaimed illegally. Kritika Kumar reports.
All excavation for reclaiming land needs prior approval from the town and country planning, but this was not the case in Newtown.
If you look at that area, it is really a very steep, extremely, very steep cliff. So that would mean that even in future, if there is a heavy downpour, the cliff will come down.
Kumar says in this case, investigation is ongoing as the current owner had bought the property from someone else.
Things become more complicated and complex when you have change in hands, and then how do you hold people to account, and particularly so if they have moved on and they have left the country.
By law, what we do is we impose a rehabilitation as a rehabilitation plan, not just for excavation, any form of extraction, excavation or development. When there is a breach in the law and there's a breach in environmental protection, then by law that the Department of Environment or the Ministry of Environment steps in.
The local government minister stressed it is important to adhere to relevant regulations in place when excavating a hillside, given its detrimental effects. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
The former chief executive of the then Fiji Commerce Commission, Bobby Maharaj, has been acquitted by the Suva Magistrates Court. He was charged with 1 count of abuse of office by the Fiji Independent Commission Against Corruption. It was alleged that between March and December 2012, Maharaj directed an employee to fill in false information without inspecting Raja's Food Court and Bakery in Korvo, Tailevu, and that a verbal warning was issued against the trader. The magistrate today ruled that the court has assessed all the evidence and found they are manifestly unreliable. He says there is no credible evidence to cover all the elements of the offence. The magistrate ruled there is no case to answer and acquitted Maharaj pursuant to Section 278 of the Criminal Procedure Act 2009. Up ahead, major drop in kava prices and stumpage rates to be set for damaged pine trees.
Pula nadang bawa perasaan kerse, gor keraki, do televisi na barong na radio Fiji One, nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji One, nandomo ibiti.
The price of 1 kilogram of kava has dropped by over 50% due to decrease in demand from international markets and local consumption as well. A kg that would have cost you as much as $150 late last year is now being sold at $70 to $50. Vendors have no choice but to reduce prices in an effort to clear the stock. Apanisa Wangarandovo reports.
In his 20 years of business, Sakyusa Sorovi says he never faced such a downturn.
There's no issue with supply. It's just that customers have dropped, so we are unable to keep up with the prices we used to offer. That is why the cost of supply has come down for some, while others here in the market are still facing challenges.
These vendors are now trying to negotiate with the farmers to lower their prices to help them sustain business.
I think most farmers can't accept our proposal to lower the cost of their supply because very recently the price per kg has gone up to over $100 and they want it to remain there. But we can't afford that because we are not even getting enough customers.
But not everyone is on the losing end. Nalayandu the cow, a supermarket vendor, has been selling grog from her home in Naitasiri. She now buys grog from the supermarket.
I live in Nandokuni, and even though I have my Angona plantation there, I really can't harvest because of the weather. Luckily for me, the price here at the supermarket has dropped. So I'm buying from here and we'll do dollar bags and sell again in the village. That way, I will make some profit.
Kavakobona John Sende says the price drop will augur well for the exporters.
That's more a function of the Cyclone Harold, where a lot of the farms have been destroyed, so there's an immediate oversupply because they all have to come and sell. It's a double-edged sword. It's bad for the farmers, but it's good for the industry because you'll find that if the lower the price, the more we can sell into the international market.
The COVID-19 pandemic has hit the pockets of many Fijians who are slowly giving up on some of their social habits. There is a restriction on social gatherings as well, which means less kava consumption. Apinisa Wangardobu, FBC News.
29 individuals were arrested for curfew breaches last night. The Southern Division recorded 21 arrests. 7 arrests were made in the east, while the west recorded 1 case. Police Commissioner Brigadier General Sithiven Ngilio says they anticipate cases of sporting breaches heading into another week based on past trends. Fijians are being reminded that sporting activities are still prohibited. The Commissioner says frequent patrols will be conducted and anyone who has information of those breaching the restrictions will not be spared. The people of Kandavo will receive money for all the pine trees damaged by Tropical Cyclone Harold. Government, through the Ministry of Forestry and in collaboration with the Fiji Pine Trust, will set a stumpage rate where pine resource owners will be paid. Speaking to villagers in Nangaloto in Yawe, Kandavo, Forestry Minister Osea Nangamu says they understand as pine resource owners, the villagers had financial aspirations but lost all hope due to TC Harold. Nangamu says their strategy is to salvage as much damaged pine trees as possible and convert it into pine timber, posts and poles using portable sawmills. Nangamu is urging the villagers to continue with the tree planting initiative.
I encourage you all to work with government and participate in the 13 million trees in 15 years program and plant trees for the future of Kandavo and for the future of this nation.
Turning overseas, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's outlined a conditional plan to open up the United Kingdom again. In a televised national address, people in England will be able to spend more time outdoors from Wednesday, but there is confusion about government messaging about COVID-19. It's over to Karoi now for business.
Thanks, Jackie. Coming up, more wait for cinema goers, and repatriation flight plan for Auckland. Stay with us.
My name is Neha and I'm from Kadavi, and Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Moviegoers may have to wait longer as the cinemas are highly unlikely to reopen with big and new releases anytime soon. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, movie productions have been halted, which means no big releases will be hitting the silver screens anytime soon. Faria Begum with the story.
Coronavirus has had an impact on the film industry, with many productions cancelled or postponed and film releases put on hold.
Hollywood and Bollywood have moved most of their dates in the later year. Some of them have moved a year back, but it's still open to discussion as how the COVID environment globally goes.
Fijians are already missing the action and the drama on the big screens.
I feel disappointed also because it's a very long time that cinema will be opening.
Can't really wait that long, so no, just need to update on my movies and all.
I live watching cartoons.
I don't normally go to the cinema a lot, so I don't mind if it opens right at the end of the year.
In Fiji, Dev Damodar says the reopening of cinemas will depend on what's happening overseas.
I mean, we'll be closed as long as it takes. We can't start with our movies, and that's Hollywood and Bollywood. And you've seen what's happening in the United States. You've seen in India. They got their own crisis that they're managing at the moment.
Damodar says they have an option of showing previously screened movies once the government lifts restriction on cinemas. Faria Begum, FBC News.
A repatriation flight is available for Fijians in Auckland, New Zealand who wants to return home. The flight will operate on Wednesday, departing Auckland at 4:40 p.m. and arriving into Nadi at 7:45 p.m. Only Fiji citizens are able to enter Fiji at this time, and as with all recent evacuation flights arrivals, all guests will be required to go into self-isolation at a Fijian government-mandated facility for up to 28 days. They will not be able to go to their homes or residences. The proposed Trans-Tasman travel bubble could come too late for Kiwi tourism operators who say the New Zealand government is failing to help them through the economic slump. Some businesses say the government support is inadequate compared to what's offered in Australia. Gary joins us now with the latest from the money market.
Let's look at the SPX stock market statistics for last week. A volume of approximately 46,000 shares were traded in 65 trades last week with around $75,600 in consideration. Moreover, a total of 4 listed entities recorded market activities as well as share price movements. In terms of share price movements, ATH rose by a cent and closed at $2.13. Fijicare Insurance increased 15 cents and ended at $3.25. FMF shares fell by 1 cent to settle at $2.11, and FHL shares decreased 3 cents to end the week at $1.39. Due to the various price movements, the SPX total market value marginally fell by 0.14% and concluded the week at $3.67 billion. And that's a wrap from our local stock market and from HFC Bank. Vinaka.
Turning to today's exchange rates, as said this morning, the Fijian dollar started the week on a high, just like Friday. Today's value was up against, including the Chinese yuan, US dollar, the PNG kina, the euro and the Japanese yen. And now on to the commodities market. Crude oil closed at $24.17 per barrel. Gold was down, closing at $1,709 per ounce, while silver was up to $15.54 per ounce. That's it from Business Tonight. Jamie joins you next with the latest from sports.
Thanks, Koroi, and good evening in Sports Tonight. Wes Nangama named head coach of Kaiviti Silktails. And district coaches raise concerns over prep time. This and more coming up.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
District football coaches are concerned they may not be given enough time to prepare their teams when competition resumes. The issue was discussed during a recent national coaching workshop. Caroline Itavi with the details.
Fiji football head coach Fleming Sherislav believes teams need more time to prepare for any competition.
It's really an important thing, and it could be an address to the president of the district clubs here, that the teams, they need a much longer preparation period than we see until now. I've been told that the preparation time would be just 1 week before they go into the first championship match.
Fiji FA Chief Executive Mohammed Yusuf says they will look into this once competitions resume.
When we restart, as soon as the government gives the green light, then we will give the districts at least 3 weeks before we start the competition.
The new head coach will be working closely with district coaches to choose the best players for the national team. Caroline Itavi, FBC Sports.
Fasonak will call for applications for the chef de mission position to the 2021 Pacific Mini Games and 2022 Commonwealth Games. Chief Executive Lorraine Ma says the committee will send out an official request next week. Ma adds interested individuals will have 2 weeks to apply.
For applications for the positions of chef de mission for both the 2021 Pacific Mini Games and the 2022 Commonwealth Games. We will be calling for those nominations very shortly, probably within the next week.
The NRL's rocky road to restarting the season has hit another pothole, this time with plans to trim on-field referees from 2 to 1 when the game gets underway on May the 28th. And for the team that's had to travel further than most to make the start line, the news is not being very well received. That's it from sports this Monday evening. Coming up in the world of the weird and the wonderful, hundreds of litres of beer given away for free in Germany. Details after the break.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
In new media tonight, why the iPhone SE camera beats the Pixel 3A's? CNET's Daniel Van Boom explains. And Angie joins you now with the latest in weather.
Manuele afi afi. This is what our friends in Samoa say when they greet you good evening. Anyways, what a bright Monday, actually a bit too bright. Sunshine made an appearance after some time. We all actually loved it. Now moving on to checking the other parts of the country. In the west, it had adorable sunshine. It felt warm after you name the time. Such pleasant weather makes one want to do swimming and surfing and you name the activity, but hold that thought for some time. Eastwards from Pakaba to Suva, clear blue skies had their games on a high. There is no complaints of 8 a.m. showers. Now is the time to put all those beddings out in their sun. Up north, who is not loving this sunshine? Finally, that mango tree in the backyard is giving some shade. No sign of showers. For the tides, at sea, southeast winds are quite easy and calm, gusting from 15 to 20 knots, moderate seas. Turning to the tides, high tide at 10:13 p.m. with low tide at 4:05 a.m. Sunrise is at 6:23. For tomorrow, are you ready? It will be another full-on sunny day. At least this weather will make things much easier, even though the week has just started. Tomorrow's temps, it has fallen back in the upper 30s. Towns like Ba and Nandi will have a slight rise. Looking further on to Wednesday, hold your hearts together. There is rain in the picture, but that is a day away. Hopeful it will change. That's all the fascinating news from my end. It's back to your favorite.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fiji on Pulse tonight, we ask, do you expect Fiji to be declared COVID-19 free this week?
I think it'll be okay. It'll be free. When it'll be free?
Not sure about it.
I'm watching the world news, and everywhere people think we should still be in the curfew. We should be in social distancing because I think Fiji is a small country. If that comes here, it will be a very hard day for Fiji.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, who wouldn't want free beer? A brewery in Germany is giving out free beer as coronavirus leads to surplus. Recapping the main stories for tonight, more revelations on infighting amongst SEDELPA members, workplace survey to help design strategies, and illegal excavation causes landslide. Now for these stories and others, tune in to our sister radio station, Gold FM. On to our poll question. Last week we had asked, do you think Sir Bill Beaumont's re-election as World Rugby Chair was the right outcome? 72% said yes. This week we're asking, should a banking ombudsman be appointed to overlook bank services in Fiji? Visit our FBC website to answer. And on to today's shot of the day. The greater your storm, the brighter your rainbow, captured by Unaisi Makutu early this morning. And show us what you've been up to during the lockdown and movement restrictions. Email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj. Share it with us via Facebook page, FBC News, and Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, stay safe. Modamanda.
Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.